So you want to get more kills, more wins, and just become an overall better and more well-rounded player in Apex Legends, or any shooter really, but you don't have the best aim or mechanical skill. As a person who doesn't come from a shooter background and uses a regular PS4 controller without paddles or playing with a claw grip, I can tell you that getting action-packed games like the one I have in the background, where I got 11 kills with Mirage, is extremely doable, even for new players if you follow these 10 simple tips that not a lot of people are talking about. I've learned these tips from watching pro players and playing the game from its launch. But before we get into the video, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to stay tuned to the videos. It's the best way to support my channel, it's free and you don't even have to pause the video. Also share the video if you really enjoyed it, but without further ado, here are my 10 simple tips to get better in Apex Legends Season 5. So just like you saw there where I basically killed an enemy from a single clip, don't shoot someone as soon as you see them unless necessary. Take half a second to steady your aim, especially if they haven't spotted you yet. It'll ensure that you unload a large amount of damage on your enemy before they can. It'll also allow you to get closer and ambush players, giving you a massive advantage in a fight. If you shoot someone as soon as you see them, you'll give up your location. Having patience will also allow your teammates to catch up with you if they're falling behind. It'll give you some support fire so you're not taking damage from all three enemies. So next up is to know where to drop. It's important to plan out where you're going to land from the ship, because it can set you up to get lots of kills and great loot, or if you're playing ranked it can help you survive longer. In public matches I would recommend dropping close to high contested areas unless you're really confident in your skill, in which case you can land at them. You want to land somewhere where there's only 1 or 2 teams max, so you can get decent loot and then third-party fights at the hot drops. For example, if the dropship starts over Gauntlet, I like to go airbase because there's a zipline that takes you straight into Gauntlet. Remember, you can always free look while you're in the air, by holding L2 to look around and see where other teams are dropping. If you're a new player, it'll take time to get used to the locations and know where people like to drop. But here are a few: Gauntlet, Salvage, Capacitor, Labs, and Containment. Of course, if you're playing ranked, you'll want to survive as long as possible to get more RP and rank up faster. P.S. You'll need to get at least top 10 for placement points. So look at the path of the dropship and try to land far from it. Unnamed locations are usually a pretty safe bet for an uncontested drop. Again, make sure to free look so that you don't run into another team while you're trying to find a gun. My next tip is to use good weapons that you're comfortable with and learn the best weapons. So like every Battle Royale game, the best weapons in Apex are constantly changing from season to season. Using the best weapons will give you the edge in a fight, so it's important to know which weapons are good and which are not. Learn how to control the recoil for each weapon, since every weapon has a different recoil pattern in Apex, and also learn what range each weapon is most effective. For example, if you're more of a passive player, you probably don't want to pick up the flatline because it has a lot of horizontal recoil, which is difficult to control at long ranges, but it can be great in the hands of an aggressive player. Know what attachments are most vital in maximizing the potential of a weapon. For example, a Mastiff isn't very good without a shotgun bolt, and same for an R301 without an extended light mag. Also, don't force yourself to use the weapons you aren't comfortable with. If you're playing on a TV with a controller, you might not want to use the wingman as your long-range option, because it's most effective when using a one-time sight on it, and it's difficult to hit your shots with, especially on controller. Lots of pro players use it, but spray weapons like the R99 and Havoc are easy for beginners to pick up and are still extremely effective. So coming in at number 7 is to loot smarter and quicker, and to learn inventory management. Looting is a vital part of any Battle Royale, but especially in Apex. After first dropping, don't pick up stuff you don't need like sniper stocks, grenades, and Mozambiques. It'll just fill up your inventory and slow you down from getting the best loot in the area. Make sure to prioritize weapons, ammo, armor, and meds first. After finishing a fight, don't spend too much time in the death boxes. Just loot what you absolutely need and get out of the area. A lot of players, both new and experienced, have this bad habit to spend half their time looting. You don't need 20 shield cells and 10 shield batteries. Spending time around death boxes makes you susceptible to third parties, since players will hear your gunshots and shoot you while you're standing still, looting. And as a side note, I really hope Respawn somehow changes the looting system so that controller players don't have to stand still while looting, whereas PC players can move around and strafe while looting. Let me know what you think of this change. Also, speaking of getting third-partied, if you want to get as many kills as possible, you have to third-party. Apex is known for its loud gunshots and sound cues, so make sure you're wearing a headset so you can take full advantage of this and third-party other teams in gunfights. It makes getting kills much easier and keeps the games action-packed. As you'll see in the gameplay, I third-party a lot of teams. Before shooting and alerting the other teams of your presence, try to identify which team has the advantage in a gunfight, whether they have the high ground or are up by a player. If you target the team with the advantage, they'll be sandwiched between two teams, making it very difficult for them to come out top. Then, you can easily finish off the weaker team. My next tip is to use legends that play to your strengths or compensate your weaknesses. The legends and their different abilities are what sets Apex apart from other battle royales, so choose your legend wisely. Try to master one legend so you don't have to think when using their abilities. It'll eventually come to you by instinct with enough playtime. Lots of legends are viable this season. It's definitely the most balanced legend meta Apex has ever had. Try to choose legends that complement your strengths or compensate your weaknesses. For example, if you enjoy an aggressive playstyle, Wraith or Pathfinder have always been solid options, since you can get in and out of gunfights much more easily. If you're playing on a 55-inch TV and find it difficult to spot enemies, Bloodhound is a great option since they allow you to scan enemies and know exactly where they are, often allowing you to pre-fire and shoot them before they can, in a 1v1. I've personally really been enjoying Bloodhound this season after their most recent changes. They feel extremely strong. The next tip, which a lot of people don't do, especially in public matches with random players, is to stick with your teammates. This can be very difficult, especially if your teammates are more passive or spend all their time looting. But Apex is ultimately a team-oriented game, and sticking close to your teammates makes it easier for them to revive you in a gunfight, allowing you to come on top. Playing with friends with mics is always recommended so you can give out quick callouts if you've made an enemy weak. If you guys are looking for someone to grind rank games with you, hit me up in the comments or via DM, because I actually need one. Alright, coming in at the top 3 most important tip is movement. So Apex Legends has one of the fastest movement in any shooter. It's a big reason why Apex is so fun. Learn to master the movement in the game. There are a lot of movement guides on YouTube, but here are some quick tips. Holster your weapon whenever you're sprinting, even mid-gunfight. It'll give you the edge, but make sure to pull out your weapon out if you hear an enemy nearby. Try to slide jump every couple of seconds when running across mostly flat land, but not uphill, because it increases your momentum and speed. You can also slide jump around corners in gunfights to surprise your enemy and make yourself harder to hit upon entrance. Once you're comfortable with your aim, try strafing from side to side and crouching in close range 1v1s. It'll make your movement more unpredictable and difficult to hit, but it'll also hinder your aim. At number 2 is to practice your aim in the firing range for 5 minutes before your first game. Lots of players hop right into matches when they want to play, but if you want to step up your game to the next level, you need more practice than just in-game fights. If you're on PC, aim training programs are usually the best option, but if you're on console like me, the firing range is probably your best bet. Even 5 minutes before a match can really improve your aim and help you get used to different kinds of weapons. Also, a sort of related tip that might sound cheesy, but it's definitely true, is to have a positive mindset when playing. Like every sport, your psychological state of mind is a key factor in your performance. It can keep your aim on point in high-intensity situations and allow you to commit to quick decisions. If you're feeling frustrated, even a 2-minute break to get a drink of water can help you stay focused. And finally, my number one tip that applies to every shooter, but especially Apex, is to have good positioning. Having the high ground in a fight allows you to see more than the enemy can, and gives you natural cover if they try to shoot up at you. Try to always have cover in gunfights, to poke from afar, to weaken the enemy, and then creep up to finish them off. If you find yourself in a bad spot, don't be afraid to say, "Hey, this isn't a good fight. Let's back off, reposition, and fight with the advantage." You're never locked into a fight, and while you might think that it's cowardly to run away, it's often a useful tool and can turn the tides in a losing fight. Taking a 3v1 almost never ends well, so if you have to run away and get back your teammates' banners, do it. Anyway, that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you made it to the end and aren't subscribed, make sure to do so. If you really enjoyed it, share it with your friends. And don't be afraid to leave a comment with your thoughts. Thank you very much, have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you later.
You are the Apex Champions.